Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you guys are all doing really well. Now for today's video, this has been a very highly requested video from a lot of you people asking me what it's like working at the Big Four, my experience working at the Big Four, what is risk consulting, what do I do on a day-to-day basis, how I got into the Big Four, what the recruitment process was, what the graduate program looks like, and basically the pros and cons about working at a Big Four accounting firm. So this video has been highly requested. I've received a lot of comments under my videos, messages, a lot of personal emails as well, asking me to do a video on this and just explaining my entire process and what it's like working at a Big Four and sharing my experience with you guys. So that's what I'm going to do for you guys today. So if you guys are interested, then please continue watching. And this video is going to take a little while, so get some popcorn, get a drink, get comfortable, sit down, and if you haven't already, then please do hit the subscribe button down below, and let's get started on this video. So first question. So for those of you who don't know what the Big Four is, they're basically an accounting / consultancy firm. So they comprise of Ernst & Young or EY, PricewaterhouseCoopers or PwC, KPMG and Deloitte. So those are the biggest four professional services networks in the world. So they offer audit, assurance services, taxation, management consulting, legal services, advisory, actuarial, corporate services and finance services. So they are world renowned and they basically handle a vast majority of public and privately owned clients. So they provide audit services to these clients, just making sure that they are meeting standard and they're operating as they should be. So that's a little bit about the Big Four and what they do. There's a lot of divisions and services within the Big Four that you can actually get into. So just have a look at their website and see all the careers, because there's definitely a lot of careers within the Big Four. And I know the Big Four have a lot of divisions. So if you're not into like the whole finance audit side of things, there's a lot of other divisions as well which they do recruit for. So I know there's a lot of like IT, there's social media, marketing, forensics, data analytics, a lot of innovative technology as well. So there's a lot of careers within the Big Four that you can actually look into. It's not always just finance and auditing. So definitely you can branch out and do other things if that's what interests you. Now that's a little bit about the Big Four. So what is a risk consultant? Now I am a risk consultant within the internal audit field. I know a lot of people get confused with that term audit. They think auditing is basically looking at financials and it's very like numbers heavy, but that's not at all what I do. I'm basically within the risk consulting team. I'm basically looking at the internal operating processes of a business. Within our firm, we have 3 different divisions. So we've got government, they look at like health services and transport. We've got corporate services, so they obviously look at big businesses, organizations, and I'm in FS, which is financial services. So we basically have like superannuation clients, insurance clients, and a little bit of the banks as well. So those are the 3 divisions which my workplace is divided up into. So I just want to make it clear, I don't look at financials. I have nothing to do with financials. I don't have an accounting degree as well. I'll talk a little bit about that later, but I don't look at financials at all. It's mainly just around the operating processes of a business, so like the people, systems, and just how and why the business is doing what they do. So basically the reviews that we could look at could include like outsourcing reviews, IT reviews. We could look at payroll, prudential standard reviews as well. So basically just making sure that a company is actually complying with their regulatory requirements. So like you could look at liquidity, strategic, maybe like cyber related reviews as well. So there's a lot of different processes which you can basically review of a business, and that's what we actually do. We just provide them assurance, just making sure that their processes are running smoothly, and if they're not, then we provide them recommendations as to what they can do. It's basically just about getting a good understanding of what the business does for that related process, and we have to understand the entire process to be able to identify what potential gaps that business has, and we just provide them recommendations as to what they could better do. So this also means that we look at the controls of a business. For example, one of the risks is fraud. So we could look at what processes does that business have in place to mitigate the risk of fraud. So they could have a lot of different controls out there that would mitigate that risk. So hopefully that gives you a little bit more understanding as to what a risk consultant does. process. So that should confirm to you guys that I have nothing to do with financial statements. I don't look at them at all. My background in finance or maths is not strong. So I basically look at more policies and procedures, if that makes sense. And how we actually identify these gaps or deficiencies in their processes is by actually doing like, sample testing, control testing. We sit down with the client, we understand their processes, we do walkthroughs, have meetings with them, and just fully immerse ourselves in that process, which is also really good because you get to go to different clients and you get to understand their processes, and you can really try to figure out what it is that you want to do later down the track as well. Like if there's a particular process or division of another company that you're auditing that, because you understand that process, you fully understand what they actually do, and that might be something of interest to you as well. So it's always good to go around and have a look at different clients and see what they do, and getting a little bit of a flavor of how businesses run. And then once we've done all of our testing and we've done all the analysis and research that we need to understand that process, we basically work on Excel. We have up like an audit program, a work paper, and just documenting everything and then figuring out what the gaps are, and then those gaps are then relayed to the client in the form of a report. So that's usually our final deliverable, and we basically get their approval that they understand that these are the gaps that we've identified, and then we ask them like, what is it that you can do to make sure that these things don't happen again? So they'll come back to us with like management comments of how they're going to address that issue, and then we give them a time frame as to how long it should take for them to get that issue resolved. And that's basically it. That's a little bit into the world of risk consulting, and that's basically what I do on a day-to-day basis. Now onto how I landed my job in the Big Four, and I'll tell you a little bit about my experience leading up to the Big Four job and what I did as my previous job history as well. So I graduated high school in 2012. I didn't work in high school at all because my parents were like, you should just focus on your studies and do the best you can and just focus on one thing at a time. So I didn't work at all during my high schooling years. When I started university in 2013, I got my first casual job working at a pizza shop. I did that for about a year, and then I became super comfortable, and my parents were like, maybe you should look into something else. So that's when I then started applying for other jobs, and then I left the pizza shop because then I found a job at Maya, which is sort of a medium to high-end department store. So that was obviously retail. While I was doing that, I was working on the side like a few days a week also at a law firm. I was just getting a little bit of legal experience because my degree is a Bachelor of Commerce majoring in economics and commercial law. So why not do something that's actually related to my field of study? Even though I didn't want to be a lawyer, I felt like doing something along those lines would actually benefit me later down the track. So I did a few days there. So I was working two jobs at the same time. So it was Maya and that law firm. And then I was like, the law firm, I wasn't actually getting paid. So I was like, you know what? I'm getting a little bit older. It's my second year of uni. I need to start actually earning some more money. So what I did, I took up another job at, I can say this now because I no longer work there, but I took up a job at CBA, which is the Commonwealth Bank of Australia, which is one of the big four banks of Australia, in case you guys are wondering what that is. So I took up a job there as a customer service representative. It was basically a contact center. So I would basically answer queries around, general day-to-day banking, customer inquiries. I did that for about a year and a half, and then I switched over and transitioned to, so once I got these jobs, I obviously left Maya and the law firm. I left that because I found that this job was more in line with what I wanted to do, getting into the banking side of things. Did that for about a year and a half, and then I transitioned to another division within CBA, Commonwealth Bank of Australia, another division which looks at business banking, more specifically merchant banking. That was looking at, the merchant facilities like the FPOS terminals that we have. I did that for about 6 months and I got so bored of it, and I was actually working full-time at the time with that business banking job. So that means I was doing full-time uni and I was doing full-time work. So I think I was in now my second last year or third year of uni, and I was coming close to finishing as well. I wasn't actually enjoying that business banking job that I was doing. So what I did, I ended up applying for one of the Big Four. I didn't think I would make it. I didn't actually believe in myself at the time. I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna give it a shot. I was such an average student at uni. I didn't really think I was gonna get it because I had heard a lot of the requirements was, you should be a distinction, average average student. You know, you need to be smart, you need to be like, you know, on top of things, you need to be on top of uni. And that really wasn't me. Like, I used to just cruise along uni doing my own thing, but I didn't think I would get the job. Anyways, so I applied. Now this will take us into our next topic of what the application / recruitment process is at the Big Four, or well, what my experience really was. So how I applied for the Big Four. So I basically put in an online application. So they asked for my resume, my academic transcript, and a cover letter. So I put that application in, and I think I heard back from them within a week. And after hearing back from them, they wanted to conduct a phone interview. So the application was the first round, and then the next round was the phone interview. So I made it into the phone interview. So someone contacted me and just wanted to know a little bit more about myself, you know, why I applied for the job, how did I find the job, and what was I looking and trying to get out of the job. I think it was about a 15 to 20 minute phone call. And then once you pass the phone interview, then you get sent a video interview. So that's a little bit more difficult because you just need to sit in front of the laptop and answer the questions as they come to you. And it can be very awkward in the beginning because if you're not used to talking to a laptop, which I know a lot of people are, it's definitely going to be hard. And I obviously struggled because I didn't do this YouTube thing back then. This has only been a year since I started. So I obviously struggled as well, and I was very nervous, but you just got to remain calm. I don't know if this process is for every other Big Four out there, but this was definitely the process that I had to go through. Applying for a graduate position. So this is a job that you apply for when you finish uni and then you get straight into a job. So this is what I was applying for. So yeah, I applied for that job and had the video interview. Apparently that went well. I think they ask you about 4 questions, and it's all like behavioral type questions anyway. Once you've passed the video interview, then I had to go then do the psychometric testing, which was super hard. Like, I'm not even gonna lie because there's no point. Like, I can tell you it's definitely really hard. It's a numeracy and literacy based assessment that you do. I think it takes about an hour to an hour and a half. So that's what I had to do. 100% super hard, and I think you just need to get a pass rate of about 50%. I'm not too sure. Once you've passed the psychometric testing, then the next stage is the final face-to-face interview. I obviously did a lot of research, a lot of studying for that interview because I had reached this point and I was like, now that I've reached so far, I actually want to get the job. I had just applied casually thinking I wasn't going to get it, but now that I'm this far into the process, I actually have a chance. So I researched, I studied a lot the day before the interview, and yeah, like it all went well. So this leads us into our next topic, which is what the interview is like and what questions did they ask you in the interview. So I basically had more behavioral type questions asking me about myself, you know, what I do, why I applied for the job, where do I see myself in like 5 years down the track, and giving them examples of, you know, where you've worked with a difficult client, how you overcame that. So they wanted to know a lot about how I worked in situations and how I overcame difficult situations basically. So a lot of situation type questions, which is always the case in every other job interview that you have anyway. So that was the interview process. And I also just want to make it a point to mention that even though I was a very average student in uni, like I didn't have the high grades, I feel like they put more weight on the fact that I used to work full-time while I was doing full-time uni. I feel like that put me ahead of a lot of candidates because I was multitasking, and that's what they love doing because, you know, being under high pressure situations, that's what they want to see, that you are able to handle 2 things at the same time or multiple things at the same time. That's something I feel was one of the reasons why I got through. And not only that, I also think the extracurricular activities that you do as well also plays a big part. They like to see that you can do full-time uni. I did full-time work and uni, and they like to see that you've done something else outside of that as well. You're not only at uni. I think that definitely helped me because at the time I used to do dancing. I used to do Bollywood dancing. So I think they actually love hearing that sort of stuff, that you are able to do other things as well and not just focus on study and uni all the time, because anyone can really do that. So I feel like I was somewhat fortunate that I pushed myself to work during uni because I made it a point to always, you know, keep myself busy. I understand if you're doing medicine or law, you really don't have any other time, but you should really also make it a point to find that balance as well. Like, you can't always be studying. So just make it a point to just, you know, try find something like a hobby or something that you do that breaks it away from just studying and doing uni work all the time. Because I know when you're getting interviewed, they always ask the question, what else is there that you do? So they like people that have multiple things going on. It just makes it look like that you can handle a lot of things, and when it does come to pressure situations, you can actually handle them. And this might just be me, but I feel like working in an organization for more than 2.5 years really doesn't change you or make you step out of your comfort zone and challenge you as a person. I feel like once you've hit the 2.5 years at any organization, it's always a good time to maybe leave and look for something else, because you need to change up the environment, you need to change up the people you work with, the work that you do, and just step out of your comfort zone to actually develop and fully grow as a person. A little bit about that later on. And yeah, so then after the final interview telling me that I got the job, and I had asked them for feedback as well, and this is what they said. They loved the fact that I was doing full-time uni, full-time work, and I had extracurricular activities. So that just confirmed for maybe all of you guys out there that are applying for Big Four jobs as well, just to make sure that you do something outside of, you know, uni as well. And it definitely sets you apart from the other candidates. So I was super thankful that they weren't so adamant, so fixated on finding someone that had a high GPA or WAM, and that they did look at other things, other external things that made up that person. Definitely having that character, that personality also really helps. Now, a little bit of my degree. Now, working in internal audit / risk consulting, you don't actually need a particular degree. Obviously, with my degree, I had no relevance to internal audit. Well, my firm didn't really matter with what degree I had. I think it's more so on the job training. You can come from all different walks of life, and having a relevant degree does not matter at all. They're going to train you up anyway. So that was definitely good from their end. And also, just like a fun fact, so when I did actually get the job, I was told that I had to do a little bit of volunteering, so go into the universities and act as a representative of the firm that I was working for and speak to uni students, giving them advice on, you know, what the application process is like. I know a lot of these open day stalls is a good opportunity for, you know, uni students to apply for these kind of jobs and understand a little bit more about the role. But I did come across a lot of people asking me to, like, you know, put their application forward, which is definitely not something that they actually have control over. It's really just the HR team that has a control over this. So yeah, I just thought that would be like a good point to mention, because a lot of people came up to me asking me if I could forward their application, you know, if I could be their referee, but not knowing them that well, like, I couldn't really do that. So just keep that in mind, and it's purely based on the application. And I know sometimes when you put the application through, you might not actually get a response, but that all just depends on the recruiter that's assessing your application on the day. They might be having a really bad day and they probably just miss your application or whatever it is. I think it's all a matter of luck. I feel like for me, it was definitely a matter of luck. So don't beat yourself up about it that if you don't get through on the first round or any other round after that. There's definitely plenty of other opportunities out there as well, so don't stress. Now, the graduate program for my firm was basically non-existent. When I started 2.5 years ago, there was actually no graduate rotation program, which I know a lot of the other Big Four have. At the time, I was like, oh man, I wish there was a, you know, a rotation program just so I can see different divisions of, you know, how this firm works. Then later down the track, so like at a year or a year and a half, I was actually super thankful that I didn't waste time doing the rotation program, because I feel like you're in different divisions for like, what, 3 to 4 months. You get a little glimpse of what that work looks like, but it's not enough to, you know, understand. And if you already know what you like, you don't want to have to keep changing divisions and doing that whole rotation program if you already know what you like. So I was super thankful that that didn't happen for me, because I ended up liking what I do. Risk consulting is something that I really like, and the training for me was basically on the job training. So I think we had like a 1-day crash course explaining what internal audit is, what does the work look like, showing us templates of the work that we do, and that was basically it. Everything after that was hands-on, on the job training. That's the quickest way of learning. You obviously absorb information a lot quicker, and I found that just a great way to understand the job and do the job properly. Now, a little bit about the Big Four culture. Now, I know there's a lot of rumors out there saying that the Big Four culture is very cutthroat. A lot of people are pushy and they fight for that position to move up the corporate ladder. I don't agree with that. Well, the workplace that I work at is amazing. There's nothing like that. It's not cutthroat at all. The people are lovely. The culture is amazing. Everything's just pretty chill. Everyone's got equal opportunity to do what they like. You can just, you know, say what you want to do. If you don't like something, you don't have to do it. And the division that I work at is actually typically 9 to 5 hours. I don't really have to stay back late, which I am super thankful of, because if I did, then I wouldn't be able to do YouTube. I know a lot of you guys think that it's long hours. It may be in other divisions. I know for sure that it is in external audit. They do definitely work long periods, and they have like deadlines and busy seasons as well. So I know a lot of my friends that are in external audit, they work till about 1 AM, 2 AM, and then they have to start work the next day like 7 AM, which is ridiculous. I don't even know how they do it. It's just like insane. If you're into that, then like, yay, good luck, and hopefully you like it. But I know there's a massive turnover with people people that are in external audit. So thankfully internal audit is not like that. So it just depends on your organization and how they work, how they operate. If they have, you know, enough resources to allow you to work those, you know, comfortable hours. So my experience definitely has been a great one, because I do remember when I was in external audit, I got seconded to external audit 2 times, and I know they definitely worked long hours. I was straight up with them telling them that I didn't want to work, but there was a time where I did have to actually stay back with the team and work till about 9 p.m. So yeah, it's external audit is very difficult, and that's what a lot of people think the image of the Big Four is, you know, working those long hours, but that's definitely not the case with my division. Now I want to talk a little bit about the pros of working at a Big Four, some of the advantages that you have at working at a Big Four. So one of them is reputation. Once you've got your foot through the door working at a Big Four organization, it's obviously reputable, and I'm not even kidding because I've done this myself, but you are able to land another job. I feel like it's just more, it's a lot easier to land another job once you have experience working at the Big Four. A lot of other companies are more willing to take you because they feel like you're really committed to the work that you do and you're good at the work that you do as well, that they are happy to take you on board, and they feel like there's a little bit less training involved with someone that doesn't have Big Four experience. So that's one of the pros of working at a Big Four. You are able to land other jobs, so that's always a plus point. And another sort of not con or disadvantage of working at the Big Four is the pay. I know they get paid a lot less than what is actually offered outside of that industry. I feel like that's a little bit of a sacrifice which you should be willing to make, because working at a Big Four, you're not going to get that experience anywhere else, and if you're earning less for like a short period of time, that's actually going to like boost your career later down the track once you do decide to leave the Big Four. So I think the pay being a little bit less is not a big deal, because the experience that you're going to get from this is actually going to be like insane. You're going to get thrown into like tough situations, you're going to be pushed into the deep end, and that's not something that you get when you're working, you know, another 9-to-5 job. I know the pay is lower, but I feel like the experience just makes up for it anyway. Another one of the Big Four perks is that they actually do pay and support for you to continue doing your postgraduate studies. So I know they've got like a lump sum payment set aside for each person if they want to continue or pursue future studies. So I did start doing the CA program, which is a chartered accountancy program. So because I hadn't done accounting at uni, because my majors were economics and commercial law, so that meant I had to do the bridging course to do the actual CA program. Now the bridging course is approximately 12 subjects, where I think only like 2 or 3 of mine got credited, so I had to do like 10 subjects anyway. I did start to do it. I did 2 subjects and I passed, but I feel like that wasn't something that I wanted to continue doing. Like accounting was definitely not my thing, so I stopped doing the CA program. So yeah, because it just really wasn't for me. Like doing the bridging course for like what, I think it would have taken me 2 years to do the 2.5 years to do the bridging course, and then another 2.5 years I think to do the CA. And I'm not a person that really likes studying, and it was really difficult for me to sit down and concentrate, especially coming back after work and then like traveling, as you guys saw in my last video how long it takes me to travel. Like I just get really tired and I didn't want to study, and yeah, like accounting wasn't really for me, so I quit that. But yeah, it's definitely a great thing if you are looking to, you know, pursue future studies. Your firm will actually pay for you to do that if it's relevant to the work that you're doing. And then yeah, as I mentioned, the ability to land another job once you do leave the Big Four, the opportunities are endless, and you're basically very, very highly wanted when you want to leave the Big Four. So there's a lot of travel opportunities as well when you are working, because you are traveling to different client sites. I was really excited when I got to first travel to my client. They were in like regional Australia, which isn't the best place, but it was still some sort of travel, and you get to like do a little bit of sightseeing before and after work. They can actually sometimes be a little bit too much traveling, and you might get, you know, bored of like living out of a suitcase, but if that's your thing, then there's definitely the traveling component at the Big Four. So working at the Big Four, you also get the opportunity to be able to do secondments. So what that means is you're able to like go into another organization and be their employee for a certain amount of time, and you basically just help them and their team, and it's basically from their end a expertise or someone that knows what they're doing who steps in and helps them out with their, you know, their processes. So secondment is a really great way to understand how another organization actually works. I've obviously had a lot of opportunities to do that, and I did do a secondment at one of the Big Four banking institutions last year for about 3 months. But yeah, secondments are a great way to understand how an organization works and fully immerse yourself in, you know, working for that organization. And obviously, as I mentioned, the on-the-job training that you get get is like by far anything you would get if you are working in the industry, and you're obviously working at a level that's always one step ahead of you. So if you're like a consultant, then you would be working at a senior consultant level or working at that level, which I think is amazing. Like there's no harm in doing that, because if you understand the role, then that would be the best way to understand, you know, what the senior does or what the manager does. Now, my overall opinion about working at the Big Four, I honestly think it's great. Like I've had no issues whatsoever. I love working where I work. I feel like I wouldn't have been able to get to the point where I am today without having that experience working over the last 2.5 years at the Big Four. I've really had no issues. Like it's probably one of the best places that I've worked, and I love the office as well where I work. I know a lot of people talk bad about the Big Four, but my experience honestly has been amazing. Like I really don't have anything bad to complain about. Overall experience, I give it 5 stars. And a lot of you guys also asked me about, you know, if you don't land a Big Four job, is there anything that you're missing out on? Now I can definitely confirm and agree that working at a Big Four will definitely boost you in your, you know, career prospects. But again, that's not the be all and end all. Like there's obviously other opportunities that are out there where you can learn and grow. It might take you a little bit longer, but then again, it's not the end of the world. Like there's definitely other opportunities out there, and if you don't get one Big Four, maybe you can just apply to the others. Keep applying, apply for industry, you know, get some experience in the industry, then come back to the Big Four, because I think your results or, you know, your test lasts for a year and you can't apply for that whole year. I think, I'm not too sure, I'm not 100% sure, but you can check that out. So just keep applying and, you know, hit up recruiters, see what they have to say. But I can definitely confirm it does help you and definitely does boost you down the track for your other future jobs if you decide to go that way. Now the final question about whether I will stay working at the Big Four, what my future plans are, where do I see myself in the next couple of years, just to let you guys know. So I have put in my resignation. It's not because I don't like working here, like that's not even one of the issues, that's not even like the issue. I feel like I've been here 2.5 years. I feel like I've learned what I've needed to learn. I need to experience a different environment, new people, and really like push myself out of my comfort zone and really test myself in another environment, because I feel like that 2.5 rule that I've applied to myself is really something I sort of live by, because I feel like after 2.5 years the role becomes very routinely structured, so you know exactly what to look forward to. So I have decided to leave and I am going to industry. I'm going to a banking organization, but that doesn't mean I won't come back, because I know I definitely love it. The work is dynamic. That's what the near future is looking like for me. Yeah, that's a little bit about me and where the next few years are looking for me. But yeah, look, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If there are any other questions that I did miss and you do want the answers to them, then leave me a comment down below. I'm happy to answer your questions. I hope you guys found this super informative. I hope you guys really enjoyed this, and I will see you guys in my next video. Thanks guys.